2023 King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes, analysing top contenders for the Ascot showdown. The much-anticipated King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Qipco Stakes at Ascot promises a gathering of flat racing's finest, with prominent names vying for the crown. In this in-depth assessment, we delve into the leading contenders and deliver our verdict for this momentous race. Auguste Rodin, an impressive colt, showcased his prowess by conquering the Derby last month, defeating the re-opposing King of Steel. Adding to his accolades, he secured victory in the Irish equivalent at the Curragh just this month. With only 2 starts over 1 mile 4 furlongs, this promising contender likely has more to offer. Remarkably, he recorded a Racing Post rating, RPR, of 124 in the Derby, matching the 2021 winner Adayar, who later clinched the King George title. However, in the Irish Derby, his RPR dropped to £4 lower, placing him with the 7th best winning figure in the past 10 runnings of the race. It's worth noting that Emily Upjohn is the only leading contender with a shorter break between her last run and the King George. King of Steel has elevated his form since transitioning to 1 mile 4 furlongs this season. He secured a commendable second place in the Derby and followed it up with a victory in the King Edward VII Stakes at Royal Ascot. With just 4 starts to his name, this imposing colt possesses significant potential. While his last victory saw him beat rivals with lower ratings, he demonstrated his adaptability over the King George course and distance only 20 days after the Derby. To claim victory in the King George, he'll need to overturn the Derby form with Auguste Rodin. Hookham's career-best triumph came in the Brigadier Gerard at Sandown in May, where he defeated Desert Crown. Prior to that, he had emerged victorious in the Coronation Cup at Epsom in June the previous year. Although considered a late bloomer, he arrives on the back of 2 stellar performances. However, there's a legitimate concern regarding the bounce factor, given the 2-month break after his Brigadier Gerard success. With considerably more experience than most contenders, albeit mainly at a lower level, Hookham remains a formidable presence. Emily Upjohn proved her mettle by securing second place behind Paddington in the Coral-Eclipse at Sandown over 1 mile 2 furlongs. However, her preferred distance is the 1 mile 4 furlong trip, as evidenced by her past victory over course and distance on Qipco British Champions Day. Her Coronation Cup win on her reappearance holds a similar rating to previous winners Hookham and Pyledriver. Despite finishing last in the King George last year, this year's field is undoubtedly stronger, and she will face fierce competition. Desert Crown, last year's Derby winner, displayed a Racing Post rating of 125 at Epsom, a single pound higher than Auguste Rodin. With just 4 starts to his name, there's still room for improvement if he maintains an injury-free run throughout the campaign. However, he suffered a defeat in his return during the Brigadier Gerard and missed the Prince of Wales's Stakes at Royal Ascot due to a minor setback. To compete successfully in his second start of the season, Desert Crown will need to raise his performance. Pyledriver stood out in last year's edition of the King George, delivering a remarkable performance. He further displayed his prowess by securing victory over course and distance in the Hardwicke Stakes at Royal Ascot on his recent return. As the most experienced contender among the leading pack, connections believe he has improved after his successful comeback. Nonetheless, he faces a more challenging race this year, making it necessary for him to rise to the occasion. Similar to Hookham and Desert Crown, this marks his second start of the season after nearly a year's absence. Bolshoi Ballet, despite being a 3-time Group 1 winner, has been on a long losing streak that stretches back 2 years, even failing to meet expectations during his UK endeavours with form. His recent runner-up finish in the Wolferton Stakes at Royal Ascot offered some hope, but this prestigious event demands more from him. Additionally, he might be utilised as a pacemaker for other Ballydoyle contenders. Broome, another contender from the older generation, has a mixed record at Ascot, finishing 4th in the King George for the past 2 years. Despite his Hardwicke success at the Royal Meeting a year ago, he couldn't build on that performance. His victory in the Dubai Gold Cup in the Middle East adds to his achievements, but his non-stayer status in the Ascot Gold Cup raises concerns. With a mercurial talent, he remains a formidable yet challenging competitor. Deauville legend experienced bad luck during his reappearance in the Hardwicke, finishing fourth due to in-running issues, and encountered a similar fate in last year's King George V Stakes over course and distance, where he lost by a head. Proving his worth, he won the Group 2 Great Voltigeur at York and performed admirably with a fourth-place finish in the Melbourne Cup before the winter break. As an outsider, he may defy expectations and perform exceedingly well. Hamish, a well-placed gelding with an impressive track record, has secured 5 career Group 3 victories, including the John Smith's Silver Cup at York races earlier this month. His affinity for soft ground and a runner-up position in last year's Irish St. Liga contribute to his credentials. However, his best form lies over a slightly longer distance, which may impact his tactical speed in a highly competitive field. Luxembourg, a 3-time Group 1 winner, fell short against Mostardaf in the Prince of Wales's Stakes at Ascot in his latest outing. His stamina beyond the extended mile-and-a-quarter distance remains relatively untested, as he faced multiple setbacks during the Arc last autumn. With other options available for the owners and trainer, he might not be their first choice on the betting list. Point Lonsdale secured a hard-fought victory in a second career Group 2 at Chester, following an impressive win in Ireland's alleged stakes on his reappearance. However, his subsequent Coronation Cup performance from Epsom showed that Emily Upjohn outperformed him. As one of Ballydoyle's runners, he might be tasked with pacemaker duties. Simca Mila, a 3-time Group 2 winner in France, showcased consistency in prestigious races like the Grand Prix de Paris and the Prix Gunay. With favourable forecast ground conditions, his recent victory in the Grand Prix de Chantilly under a penalty adds to his credentials. As a contender with odds against him, Simca Mila might prove to be a dark horse in the competition. Westover, the winner of last year's Irish Derby, and a second Group 1 in France recently, enters the King George with mixed results at Ascot. Despite being a beaten favourite in the race last year, he hasn't managed consecutive wins in his career so far. With Emily Upjohn holding the upper hand in their previous encounter, it remains to be seen if Westover can challenge her again. Pyledriver, while still a maiden on turf, has shown significant improvement, Irish Derby and Grand Prix de Paris after his 7th-place performance behind stable companion Auguste Rodin at Epsom. Despite his progress, he may find some of the leading contenders too formidable to overcome. In this enthralling and deeply competitive race, every main contender has a compelling case for victory. Auguste Rodin's recent display at the Curragh suggests King of Steel might be able to reverse the Derby form, but our preference lies with Emily Upjohn. Her victory against Westover in the Coronation Cup and her commendable performance in the Eclipse showcase her capabilities over 1M2F and hint at her potential success. Last year's champion, Pyledriver, should not be dismissed lightly, although this year's running will necessitate a higher level of performance from him. As the King George unfolds, racing enthusiasts can look forward to an exhilarating and unpredictable showdown of great thoroughbreds. Please like and subscribe. Good luck and have fun.